is also something very, very important. Okay, so look at, well, I don't think you can see it very well, but can you read the words? We have here, well, I'm going to read it for you then. Cousin, daughter, father, grandmother, niece, sister-in-law, uncle, and wife. Okay? Can you see the picture a little bit? So we have two people in here, right? And we have then the two couples, right? Then can you read the names? So here, James and Betty, Robert, Patricia, Deborah, and Arturo. Then here we have Joseph, Keiko, and Joshua. Then we have Nicole and Veronica, right? Nicole is attached to Joshua. That means they are married, right? And Veronica is attached to Arturo and Deborah, right? Then we have Andrew and Emily attached to Joseph, and Alyssa and Ethan attached to Joshua, okay? So this is a family tree, okay? Unfortunately, the picture is not very good, but I want you to keep up with me. So let's say we are talking about Joseph. Can you see Joseph here? Yes? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Joseph. He has, what about his parents? His father's name is Robert, and his mother's name is Patricia. He also has grandmother and grandfather, okay? So his grandfather's name is James, and Betty. Very good. Is he married? Yes. Yes, he is. And his wife's, yes.
That line there in the middle.
Yes, so his wife's name is? Keiko. Yes, very good. And do they have children? Yes. How many? Two. A boy and a girl. And their names are? So the son's name is Andrew, and the daughter's name is Emily. Very good. But Joseph is not an only child, right? No, he has a brother, and his brother's name is Joshua. Is Joshua married? Yes.
Well, we don't know. It could be living common law.
Well, in this case, they are married.
And a gray line, and they could be two different things.
No, in this case, they are married, right? So in this case, Nicole is?
Nicole.
Yes.
His wife,
Joshua's wife. And they have? Two children. The girl's name? The son's name is Ethan. Very good. Wonderful. But Joshua and Joseph, they have other relatives, don't they?
Yeah.
So they have what? They have? They have here, they have an aunt. What is her name? Deborah. So they have Joseph and Joshua, they have an aunt and an uncle. Very good. And this uncle, his name is? Arturo. Very good. And they have a daughter called Veronica. So what is Veronica for Joshua and Joseph? Yes, very good. Wonderful. And Nicole is Joseph's? Sister-in-law. Very good. And Keiko is? Joshua's sister-in-law. Very good. And what about Alyssa and Ethan for Joseph? Alyssa is? Joshua's niece. Joseph's niece. And Ethan? Ethan is Joseph's nephew. Very good, wonderful. So see, imagine, I could simply say, have a look at the tree, match words to the people, and then copy or build your own family tree. But how can you make sure that students are understanding exactly what is there? As you said, well, maybe this relation is not saying that they are married. Okay, they are married, but here...
I saw different colors, so I thought...
But
they
you're
had different
right.
meaning.
No, yes, but you're right. Because here they wanted us to put husband and wife, and here they wanted us to put brother and sister-in-law. You're right. You're not wrong. But when you are exploiting the picture, you are exploiting every single possibility. So that means Nicole is Joshua's wife, but Nicole is also Joseph's sister-in-law.
Why
This
there are three different types of colors?
Because in this case they are married, right? And in this case they are in this relation. She is not, for example, she is from the family, but she's from the family by the side of Joshua, right?
By law.
So yes, by law. Okay.
And
So
the brown one,
okay.
Arrest.
Yes, because he is not directly related to Joseph. They are not the parents. See? Okay, so again, don't you agree with me that after this activity, it's a lot easier for students to build their own family trees? So you use this as a means to clarify the tree, give them information, practice the concepts of being sister-in-law, wife, cousin, or nephew, or son, etc., in order for them to then create their own tree, their own family tree, right? Or get a family tree from a famous person. So clarity is one of them. Then we have familiarity, right? So example, let's see. Maybe you will be able to see it better. Let's see. Okay. Oh, better, isn't it? A little better, yes? Okay, so here I have jobs, and I have office work, food service. Can you all see now? Office work and food service. Then we have travel industry, and then we have entertainment business. Entertainment business, travel industry, office work, food service. Let's say that aloud. Office, food, travel, and entertainment. Together. Office, food, travel, entertainment. Now, what I am going to do, because in a real classroom situation, your students would match words to columns and write the words, right? What I want you to do is to point at the columns. So, for example, if I say accountant, you would point to office work that is here, okay? Okay, ready? So, let's say, well, I'm gonna skip the first four, right? Musician. Where would, very good. Pilot. Okay, don't say, just point, okay? Travel. Very good. Now, receptionist. Okay. Server. Singer. Tour guide. Web designer. Very good. Okay, give me a word connected to web designer. For example, computer, okay? Can you give me another word? Software, very good. What about tour guide? Tourists, for example. What else? Maps, trips, right? Very good. What about a receptionist? Telephone, very good. Guests, very good. Very good. What about musician?
Instruments.
Well, instrument shows, yeah, violin, piano, very good, wonderful. So let's do this one then. Well, this is a lot more visible, right? So give me a word connected to doctor.
Nurse.
Nurse. Or I can say, for example, surgery, for example, right? What about, let's say, firefighter? Yeah, very good. What about taxi driver?
Cab. Uber driver. Cab.
Yeah, Uber driver. Yes, just, okay. What about teacher?
Student.
student. I could ask you to give me also examples of places, right? So for example, if I said something like cook, you would say something like restaurant, and so on and so forth, right? But because you are teachers, I'm going to skip this part, right? So let's say that we have said words connected to every single profession, and I asked you also to give me a place for every single profession, right? So now what I want you to do is to work in pairs, right? Work in pairs or in threes if you want. You can work in threes as well if you want. I want you to choose one profession, but don't say it to your partner, right? And that means I am going to start, you're going to start taking turns asking questions. For example, do you work in an office? If she says no, right? Only yes or no answers, right? And then she asks me a question. Now the first of the pair who guesses wins the game, okay? So first choose your partner, or you can work in threes if you want as well, right? Okay? Now choose a profession. Don't say it to your partner. Ready to start? Yes?
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. And start and take turns asking questions, right?
No.
Sometimes. Yes, sometimes some lobster, sometimes others. Yes. And
Who were you?
Very expensive.
yes. Inside shop. What is my job?
30 seconds.
I'm a lawyer. I can teach you. You would.
Okay, have you found out? Yes? Okay, I think that you have already an idea of how this activity works. You should see you from my point of view. Because every time you ask a question and you get the response, you start checking all the professions all over again. Isn't it true? And you read it and you think about it once, twice, a lot of times, right? And the more you look, the more you will be able to remember these words later. So again, write a composition using professions. How do you say this? How do you say that? How do I work with that? And my father is working in this field. How do you call it? What do you call it? So again, they are always looking for extra words. And here's a way of forcing students to use the words you want them to practice, right? Because they may not be able to remember all these words, but they will be able to remember a lot more through this activity rather than not, right? And the familiarity brings confidence, because the more they practice using the same grammar topic or the same vocabulary, more confident they become, because the content is familiar to them, right? And of course, the teacher is going to lead the activity, but he will be confident that students will be able to develop the activity by themselves, because they already have control of the vocabulary that is here. Just comment. These professions, they have already been presented when I get to this point, right? I would never work with this activity without presenting the vocabulary first, of course, right? Okay, so going on, we talked about familiarity, but also expectations. I am not going to develop this activity, but I'm going to show you how I would do it. I would start counting like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, etc., etc. So I would have a group of numbers 1, 2s, 3s, and 4s, right? I could ask them to open their books, or I could give them copies of the text divided into slips of paper, right? Example, well, the topic would be, my parents don't understand my job. So this is about unusual jobs. So here, how many people do we have here? 4. So that means we have 4 different professions, right? So number 1 is assigned to this one. 2, 3, and 4. They don't have to read everything. They just have to read the information on the piece of the text that is assigned to them. So if I am number 1, I am going to read only this part. Finished, I take out the text from them, be it closing their books or getting the slips of paper back, doesn't matter. And then I start working with the reading comprehension exercise. So that means every one of them, now 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4 together, they're going to discuss the exercise and they're going to answer according to what they read. So I read only the first part, but 2, 3, and 4, they read the rest. So they're going to tell me what they remember from the text. So what about the goal? Is the goal about understanding 100% of this text? No. The focus is to answer the exercise, because this is connected to what we call reading strategy. So the most important thing is not the text, but applying the strategy so that students learn how to interact with the text without translating each and every word. But do you agree with me that if I, as a learner, expect to understand 100% of this text, do you agree that I will get frustrated? Because I won't be able to understand 100%. Why? Because every reading passage, every listening passage has at least 20 to 30% of unknown vocabulary. Why? If I have this level of a student, and if I have this level of input, the students will say, well, gee, this is too easy. If I have this level of student and this level of input, gee, I'm not learning anything. If I have this level of student but this level of input, well, you know, I think I'm never going to learn English. It's too difficult. So I have to have this level of student with this level of input so they can jump the gap and learn something that they don't know through the context. But they have to know that they are not supposed to understand 100%. Otherwise, they will get frustrated. And that will affect their level of confidence. So not only students have to know what you expect from them, but you have to know what to expect from them as well. Because reading, for example, reading is an issue, isn't it? But it is an issue not for language, English language teaching. It's an issue for reading in general, because especially teenagers, they are not accustomed to reading books, articles, etc. They are accustomed to reading texts on the internet, messages on Facebook. So again, they are learning how to do that, right? So again, depending on our expectations, we can get either very confident or just the opposite, right? Very, very anxious, right? And the personalization stage. So I have the pre-reading, the while reading, and the post-reading activity. And this is the text from beginning to end. Well, just too light, right? I know that you won't be able to read everything, but at least you have an idea of beginning, middle, and end, right? Okay, so this, again, is one of the things related to confidence, but we also need involvement, right? And imagine if I gather you together in groups, so you can decide to gather, let's say in groups of 4 or 5, you decide, right? According to where you're sitting. I want you to talk about your favorites. Favorite musician, favorite